welcome back to Reclaiming America. Dan is my co-partner on this operation, and our other partner, Greta, is still off doing some family things.
Recuperating.
We wish her well, and
Recuperating
she's
from
doing
dealing with you. What is she kidding?
well. She's probably recuperating is a good word. I agree to that. Yeah, we had a long meeting last night. She had to put up with me for a long meeting, so she is
Well, didn't you
recovering.
say last week you made her work like 17 days in a row or something like that?
We both did. We worked
Yeah,
every
but
day for the election.
you're supposed to. You need to give that poor young woman a day
She's
off.
deputy dog. Deputy dog works when the dog
Yeah, but
works.
she does all the work. You're just
But that's deputy dog.
she's the power behind the throne, isn't she?
Well, no, she probably is the throne.
That could be twisted two
I'm
ways.
not going anywhere with that.
Greta, I'm trying to give you all the love I can, but he's not making it
You,
easy.
you,
So, wow, what a week, Bill.
yeah. Again, we probably need a 4-hour show to cover this week.
Oh,
Actually,
baby, I cannot keep up with all the news.
let's talk about something new that just happened: Trump derangement syndrome.
New? What are you talking about?
It hit new levels this
Well,
week. That's what I'm talking
that's
about.
true. That's very
I
true.
mean, they are all out there bouncing off the walls, and I will tell you, just doing a personal analysis on what I saw doing, the man is a master planner. I'm talking about Trump now. Okay. Here's what I think he did. If you notice, he spaced every one of his announcements after several few hours apart, maybe half a day apart,
Hmm.
as he put a new cabinet member out. So what did he do? He threw a name on the table. The left started to go nuts. They started to get organizing to attack the new person, and all of a sudden he hits them with another name. And now they're going, ooh, which way do we go now? And as they get ready to hit either one of them, he hits them with a third name. And just he kept them off balance the entire week.
It has been brilliant the way he's done it. And by the way, his pecs, for the most part, I think are very good. We'll get into that.
Yeah, there's one or two I have some
There's one or
concerns.
two I have. Well, there's one I have real concerns about, but and we'll get into that. But I agree with you. He for the past 10-ish days, he's handled this masterfully, and I have to say, he put a lot of thought process into this before the election. You don't know whether you're going to win or not. Well, he clearly assumed he was going to win and started working on things ahead of time because it's showing now. When you're trying to put together a cabinet, he talks to these people, he meets with them. He's already done all that before the election. He is looking to hit the ground running day one, as we
Absolutely.
talked about last week.
And if you're not going to run with it, you're going to get run over.
And the thing is, the left is having a cow about it for largely for the reasons you're talking about. But in reality, this is how a business is run. You can't wait 6 months to decide what you're going to do and start working towards implementing it and all that. The market changes too quick. So you have to be on it and ready to go. And he is all of that and more.
And there's a big word there: think ahead.
He's got a
And
plan.
the man exemplifies it.
Yeah.
He did a great job. But I have to tell you, I have. It's almost fun just to watch these other stations and listen to these people. According to them, the world is about to end. The country's going to
Oh,
blow up, and but most of them are liars because they're not moving like they promised.
well, yeah. I'm still waiting for. There's like a list of, I think it was like 12 to 15 celebrities. Somebody put it out on Twitter saying, when are you leaving? And tagged them all in it. And of course, none of them have responded. I know Chelsea Handler was one of them. And I had to go look her up because apparently she's a celebrity. I didn't recognize her. And then I found something she was in. I went, oh, yeah, I remember that. But I don't remember her. So she's not even a high level celebrity. I did see, by the way, remember last week you mentioned they're going after George Clooney? I
Mhm.
found that. Oh, boy, that poor
I
guy.
told you.
But he
And
didn't.
he's now sworn he's going to stay out of politics.
But he didn't say anything that the rest of them weren't saying.
Yes,
So why
but
is he the whipping boy? I was laughing my ass off about it. They're turning on each other like you wouldn't believe.
they're eating your children. They're piranha. They're eating their own kids. I mean, it's terrible.
Eh,
But that's you got to watch with a smile. And then you listen to some of these people like Morning Joe who suddenly swear he says a lot of the stuff that no one ever heard him say before, but he's been saying it for years.
Oh well, he's on. They're on the way out. So
Well,
that's
they're all on the way
yeah.
out.
Well,
Though
that's
I will tell you what's interesting. I'm hearing some words out there that uh, the new management at CNN is going to try and pull the station back to the center left rather than hard left.
Well, that's kind of old news, Bill. They were talking about that as early as September. I saw stuff on
They
Earth.
were talking about that for two
Well,
years. They
yeah,
haven't had.
but like seriously looking at it, late August, early September.
Well,
But what's interesting to go along with that is now MSNBC is up for sale. Comcast has put it up for sale because it's broke. I got a name to throw at you who should buy it.
Musk.
Elon Musk.
Oh,
Would
I would love it.
that not be glorious if he bought
Oh,
that?
that would be worth. I would chip in for that. I mean,
Even
I'd be a minority owner just to watch him do it.
he's going to get it for pennies on the dollar, and I would just and he's got the attitude he might do it. I would buy it just to shut it down. I mean, if I had, he's got $250 billion. He could spend 30 billion and nobody would even notice.
Yeah, it's called
Kind of
petty
like.
cash,
But
like the federal government at 6 billion.
can you imagine if he did? Oh my God, it would be glorious, and I actually could see him doing something like that.
Oh, I would.
Just
It would be phenomenal to just watch him go in there. And then the next part of it would like to see him. I'd like to see him swing him like a Newsmax and take that station the whole distance.
that could be.
It could be an
Well,
interesting
he
turn
could.
too.
Speaking like we're kind of having fun with MSNBC, but he could buy something like that and do Newsmax Plus type stuff because
Right.
he's actually center left. If you listen to him, he was a Democrat up until 3 years ago. But if you actually listen to what he believes in, his policies that he would implement, that kind of stuff, he's basically center left, and that's
If you
all you can
if
ask
you,
for
you
on the
put him on
news.
something, he's more of the traditional liberal that
Yes,
we grew
he's
up
a
with.
Kennedy Democrat.
Yeah, there you go. That perfectly
And
describes.
if that's who's running the news, I mean, ideally it would be split exactly down the middle, but that's not realistic. There's always going to be interjections, just like Fox interjects from the right. But if we got to center left, I could live with that. At least then we'd get some honest reporting. And I don't know if you saw him on, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast he was talking. I saw him on a few things. He said what he would like to see is you have some sort of media, whether it's MSNBC, a podcast, a newspaper, whatever, and hire a reporter and say, I'm hiring you for 5 years. You have carte blanche to write about absolutely anything you want as long as you don't spin it. In other words, report it evenly. That would be ideal, right? Because then they would do some serious investigative journalism and not have to worry about losing their job.
If if they weren't trained to the point where they're thinking the hard right or the hard left is center left.
Well,
They could be trained, not to critically think, which a lot of them prove it
yeah,
on a
there's
regular basis.
very few left that can actually do that. You're right. Your point's valid. But if you found that one, there's some out there. Andy No is a perfect example of someone like that, right? He's got his own
Yeah,
stick, but you get somebody like that that's going to do that and put him at, I mean, he kind of was, there's jokes out there. He might buy WAPO from Bezos.
the other one is our friend Vishny from the other side of this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the money too to do exactly that. So either one of them could buy it.
It would be interesting to see because then I think one thing coming out of the election is people let it be known they're sick of the media. They're sick of the Democrat policies, but I think even more so from what I've seen through all the, let's call it hullabaloo of the past week, it's really coming out that people are sick and tired of the media and they're biased on both sides, but primarily on the left. And if nothing else happens, obviously we want Trump to fix the country and all that. But if we could get the media somewhat pulled back to the center, to me, honestly, Bill, that's an even bigger win because the media's job is to hold the government accountable, and they're not doing that right now.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. When you start talking about switching people around, like look, my example to support what you said about being center left, center right, the people that own Fox are not exactly conservatives. The Ruperts are definitely not
No.
conservative, but they allow a show. And if you look at the show and you analyze Fox News, Fox Station, their news tends to be center left. Their commentators are all right, hard right,
Yeah,
various stages of right. But the news shows themselves tend to be center left.
but that's a lot of that is they're trying to make money, right? So there's CNN, there's MSNBC on the left, and a host of others. So for them to niche out, like you said, and have the Sean Hannitys of the world and the Laura Ingrams and all them, there's bigger audience there, so they can make more money. That's why they're doing it. But to your point on the news, I don't know if I agree with you. They're center left. They're pretty neutral. They take some serious shots at Republicans. I've seen them do it, but they also do the same on Democrats. If anything, I'll give them. I would say they're center right, but we're quibbling over minor things. But again, even they need to come more to me towards the center. I what I want from the media is just tell me the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. Right? If Trump screws up somewhere, I want him held accountable.
I
It,
agree.
or whomever. We haven't had that for
Held fairly accountable
fair.
and
Well,
not just
yeah, but if he does something, you you report the facts. Leave the hyperbole out. Leave the innuendo. Leave all that crap out.
you mean let the people decide what they heard
Thank
and
you.
which way it goes and not have someone tell them what they're thinking?
And
What a novel idea.
and that's what you're seeing now in social media realms, right? There's podcasts out there. They all lean one way or the other. We lean. But we're honest about it. You lean right. I'm center right. All right. I don't deny that I am. I'm more libertarian than you, but I do lean right on most issues. Not all of them, but at least we're honest and upfront about it. We're an opinion show. We're not a news organization. News organization's job is to go and say, we found X, Y, and Z. Here's what they are. Not what do they mean, which is what they're focusing on now.
You know what would be interesting to see if you could almost combat that is get an independent group of people that had the ability when a newscaster is talking to put on above their face or on the thing opinion or news and just let them alternate the words. So get people used to the idea that they're not necessarily hearing news, they're hearing opinion.
It already exists, Bill. It's called Twitter. Oh, sorry.
You know, but,
It's called X because they have the community notes and they do exactly that.
yeah,
So,
but I'm talking about while they're doing it,
yeah, that pretty
up
much
on the
will
air.
will do that. So if you're on, say, X or Twitter, right, and there's a live stream going, people can get a community note going right while they're on, going, "You're full of shit." You know, I know they wanted to do that stuff with the debate. I didn't watch it on X or Twitter, but when they were fact checking Vance and all that, people were talking about that's where community notes pays off, and Elon owns that. There's a lot of negatives with Elon, but most of it's positive. And if he leads the country, because he is leading by using Twitter, if he leads the country to get more facts instead of hyperbole in the media, I'm 100. If he does nothing else, I'm 100% for it.
Oh, I think he's done his job, which what we need
If
to get this back to the US of A that we know.
Bill, if he had not bought Twitter 2ish years ago now, we would not be seeing Trump as president. We would not be a
We might
democracy.
not.
We wouldn't. I'll tell you right now.
We
Because,
might not. But he also was willing to say, and someone asked him the other day, you realize, of course, by what you do, you lose money. He says, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
I don't have to make as much money as we need to make. I'm okay with that. I'd rather do what I'm doing and
yeah.
ensure fair and equal coverage.
And Trump's got the same mindset. Last time he was in office, he lost something like $1 billion. When you look at Obama, went from being a 2 or 3 millionaire to a 200 millionaire while he's in office. How the frick does that happen? Uh,
Well, look at our friend President Biden, who spent his entire career in earning $177,000 a year and has three homes all around Delaware. And we're not mentioning all those friendships he has around the world either.
or Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah, another
Mister,
one.
I've been a senator for 40 years, but I wrote a book, and now he's, Mister, we have to make sure the millionaires, forget the billionaires. It used to be the millionaires pay their fair share till he became one. Then it went to billionaires. But again, seeing over the last week, I think we're seeing the media even starting to realize they need to change because you look at the number. I don't know if you've looked at the numbers for the Joe Rogan podcast. Trump, when Trump went on, it's something like 90 million views. That's a quarter of the country.
I heard it was about 100 million
Yeah.
people.
You look at Vance. Vance was way, he wasn't that high, but he wasn't that, he was probably 50 million. You look at, he had Fetterman on. Fetterman's numbers on there were pretty good. And again, I have watched the Fetterman one, but I watched both of the ones with Vance and Trump. I watched the last one with Elon. He's bringing out the information, and he held Trump mostly accountable. He agreed with him a lot too, to be fair. But he was like, "Why are you doing this?" Same thing with Vance. But what was great about it is he would ask the question and then shut up and let them talk. So they could either hang themselves, which is why Kamala didn't go on, because if she'd gone on, she would have hung herself. Or
Yeah, could you imagine 3 hours of word salad?
oh well. So, again, he talked about this with Elon on the podcast. He's like, I offered her 3 hours, basically. Let's just have a talk. We could talk. He even said, I'm misquoting him, but it was something like, we'll talk about recipes if that's all you want to talk about. I just want to have you on to have a conversation. She wanted to limit it to 45 minutes. You can bullshit for 45 minutes. You know that.
And she wanted to limit topics.
And limit the topics. But she could have just sat there and go, I grew up a middle class, and repeated that for 45 minutes and walked away. I think it ultimately cost her a lot of votes. But again, hopefully this shifts the media.
Well, and hopefully our liberal or far left friends learned a little something from this. And as I just did a survey for a gentleman, they're doing political surveys out of Denver, and I literally finished it about an hour ago. And the first question was, why do you think the Democrats got beaten so badly?
Asking you that.
You asking me as in my position that I currently hold.
What was your answer, just out of curiosity?
The answer is very simple: because they did not pay attention to the people and the fact the economy was where it was. That's what took them down.
Okay, I don't disagree.
Because the economy stretches, it's an umbrella. It covers a lot of issues, to include immigration, including all the other things. But nothing hurts. People vote by their wallet. I don't care what anybody says. They vote their wallet, and there was enough people hurt by what's going on. And someone put it the other day, goes, when eggs are $4 a dozen, you're not getting my vote.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but I think it's much more than that, Bill. If I were to answer that question, I would say that it's more than anything else. The Democratic Party has lost touch with the people, not even their base, the people in general. They have become the Marie Antoinette.
I like that.
Let them eat cake, right? You'll own nothing and love it. And they don't.
You will like it because we're telling you you're
exactly. And if you say anything, you're a horrible person. You're a racist. You're a misogynist. The whole litany of things they have. I think that ultimately is what cost them the election. I agree with you on the economy. Don't get me wrong, right? But I think if you took the economy out and just looked at, people are fed up with this division that they've.
Yeah, but did you hear what I said to start the sentences? I said the Democrats didn't listen to the people.
Exactly.
They, in fact, and the big issue was the economy, and that's what I put out.
Well,
so,
where we're
I was only allowed 2 sentences, by the way.
Yeah, where we're differing is I agree with you that the economy is part of it, but I think it was more the division than anything else, because you're seeing it even now, right? You're seeing the media.
People still vote their money. They vote dinero.
Yes and
no.
no.
If I can't buy something, if I can't afford to feed my kids, if I'm deciding whether I can afford to put gas in the car or heat the house, or do I buy food, or my before I was saving a little bit of money. Now I've got to go find a second job if I can find one, just to try to make ends meet.
By the way, Trump's already affecting my 401k. That's a win. He's not even
Having a
president yet.
positive effect across
But
the board with everything.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I really think, if nothing else, this was a protest vote for the way they've divided the country. And the average person who's not political, my wife is the perfect example of it. She did not vote based on the economy. She voted because she despised Harris because of how divisive she was. And this wasn't me influencing her, Bill, right? This was, I hate that bitch. I see right through her.
Knowing your wife, you're not going to influence her anyway. She's
No,
going
I
to go.
absolutely would not. But it was interesting to see her change because 6 months ago, it absolutely was about the economy. She hadn't mentioned the economy at all the last 3 months. Once, when it was Biden, it was about, she was like, yeah, things are too expensive, blah, 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 blah. Once Harris got in and started spewing her venom and all that other stuff, I watched my wife change, and it became about the division because even she felt disrespected. She's a white.
They did an excellent job taking on white male and females.
They pissed off the white women. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they did. And
How?
they pissed off the white males. They pissed off the black
But Bill,
males.
who
They
is their
pissed off the
base?
Hispanic males. Yeah.
50,
Well, their base was also black and Hispanic.
and they pissed them off too.
They got everybody going
But
wrong.
you look at the white married women, suburban housewives, is the Democratic Party's core base by numbers, right?
Right.
Hispanics
I
are
agree.
less voters, blacks are less voters. They get all of them, but they're hardcore that they can count on is suburban housewives. They lost that demographic, relatively speaking.
Mhm.
And then, oh yeah, by the way, pissed off the Hispanics and the primarily black males. Black female votes not that much different.
No, but the Hispanic males one
Oh,
actually went to majority. They went to 55% for Trump.
how does that happen, right? And that's where I'm saying that's where they lost touch. Economy, absolutely. I don't disagree with you, but I think that's 1B. I think 1A was they just pissed people off by their division. And honestly, Bill, I'm seeing here and there some of them admitting it, saying, we got to change. 95% of them are doubling down on it.
Because they're not really to admit they're wrong. It's because there's a thousand reasons we lost, but it could never be what I believe.
You look at somebody like AOC or Bernie or any of them. If I'm Bernie Sanders, who's technically an independent, yeah, right. Um, if he's a true leader, he'd be out front going, "Yeah, we fucked this up. We royally fucked this up, and we need to hold ourselves accountable." No, he's wishy washy. Well, blah, blah, blah. I can't imitate him, but it's they're still in denial. I think you talked about it last week. The stages of grief. I don't know if that they'll ever get out of denial.
They may not. Some people don't. And the party, and that might be continuing a discussion. What do the Democrats and then what do the Republicans have to do in the next 2 to 4 years? Because we do have elections coming up in 2 years. I see a hand, so
Yes.
that's telling me
Let's
something.
go to break because this is a great point to pick up. Let's go to
Okay.
break and then we'll come back and we'll go right to that
Hey, why don't you close us down this time?
because I have to win the board. Fine.
Okay, fine. We'll be back soon. Don't go anywhere. Back, everybody. This is Reclaiming America. Dan and I are discussing some of the offshots of the election and some of the unexpected, if you will, or the inspected issues that have happened.
So much.
We were discussing what before we closed down, sir?
I don't even remember, Bill.
That's why I threw it to you.
Oh, I don't know. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we remember what we were talking about before. Why don't we skip right over to the Trump
That's
appointments?
what happens when you're recording live.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that, and I'm giving an interesting perspective. I don't know whether I've talked about this on air before, but when you pay attention to what Trump did, he was brilliant in how he did his appointments, and I'm not talking necessarily about all the people.
Well, you talked about how he put them out.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, but I think you look at his appointments. There's only a couple that I have some concerns about. Okay, the first one I hate to say is the Attorney General with Matt.
I agree with you on that. I am not a fan of
I
that
think
pick.
I'm not sure that's a workable one, but I have an interesting cut on that. And again, based on nothing but just my own warped analysis, if you will. Uh, Trump is a smart man. Now, for whatever reason, he resigned his position in the Senate, the House already.
Yeah, already.
He didn't need to do that. And if he doesn't get appointed,
He's out.
he gets nothing.
I know.
And I'm wondering if that's not the direction they wanted to go to keep him from organizing another revolt in the House when they're trying to do what they were going to do. And Trump comes out
Oh.
smelling like a rose.
Oh, I had never thought of that.
And the man is brilliant enough to make it happen. He's done,
Oh, you
I
got me
tried to
thinking
put you
now.
in there. You quit on your own because you thought it was a shoe-in. They didn't appoint you. I'm sorry. We tried.
I think he will get put in. I think my gut feeling is there's some sort of backroom deal. Might be in line with what you're saying. Is he? Trump goes to the Senate and says, "I'll get him out of the House," so he leaves Johnson alone. But you're going to guarantee me behind closed doors right now that Gates gets the nomination. Well, time will tell on all
You've
this.
already got 13 Republicans that have come out against him.
It's November, Bill. Wait till
Yeah, I
January.
understand.
Um,
But you also have to remember his litmus test for everyone who was running for Senate leadership, and he already has Johnson on it, uh, is you have to accept recess approval,
yeah,
recess appointments.
yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason it didn't happen under Biden is because McConnell, wherever you think of him, he always kept one person there.
Hmm.
So the Senate was never in recess.
Hmm.
So he couldn't do any appointments that way. But Trump has got them saying if you want the job, you have to guarantee you support recess appointments, which translates to anybody he can't get through, they shut down for up to 30 days, they're automatically in.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Gates getting that one. Um, I'm not a fan of Gates in general. I like a lot of what he puts out policy wise, but to me, he's a blowhard. He's more about getting himself on camera. He's the Republican Chuck Schumer, right?
That's a good analogy.
He loves to be on camera. He loves to hear himself talk. That's just my opinion. I don't disagree with him on a lot of things, but I don't agree with him on some others. And I have to be fair. I've watched, like for example, he's had people in that he's held accountable that were heads of agencies and done brilliantly at their questioning them. I give him that. But again, it's I he seems part of the swamp to me without but he's trying to appear like he's not. I'm not a fan of that one, especially for Attorney General. Attorney General, with Garland in there and using lawfare, that whole position and everything under it, which includes the DOJ and all that stuff, has lost all credibility. I don't think Gates is going to bring back much of that compared to someone else. And I don't know who I would offer, to be honest with you. But they needed someone with really solid credentials. Gates has these other things out there, potential scandals, most of which I don't give two craps about if he can do the job.
Well,
But
there were a couple of attorney generals in the states levels in Georgia, and that would have been an excellent choice to come in and do that.
I'll give you a name: Dan Bishop.
Well, yeah, he's unemployed.
He didn't get the AG in North Carolina. That was one I kind of had in the back of my mind was he would make an excellent AG at the federal level.
Yeah, and especially with his knowledge coming in from the House.
He's got the knowledge, he's got the experience, he's a good man. I mean, we've interviewed him, and I'm biased that way, but he's a good man, right? And he
I
would have
don't
brought.
remember, was he a lawyer or an engineer or an
I don't
accountant?
care.
I don't remember which one he was. Well, you got to kind of be a lawyer if you're running the, or
Do
you're running
do you,
the,
Bill? Think about
yeah,
it. Why?
because you have decisions that are made based on law. So you
Okay.
have to decide if certain things go forward based on legal terms. And you get
If you have the
sometimes
right
your
people,
advisors aren't the right people.
I know, but if you have the right people under you, they can say to you, "This is this. This is." I want someone in there that's got integrity over law knowledge. That's just my opinion, right? I don't care if you know the law in that position because you're not going into the courts. AGs generally don't try cases. You're there to lead the country's efforts with regard to law. That's why I say at that level. Now, a subordinate level to that, absolutely need to be an attorney. But somebody, if it's not Dance, whomever, that doesn't have a law degree, I don't give two craps about that if they can get the job done, right?
Well, I
Hello.
hear what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
still think because you're making decisions whether you want to appoint a special prosecutor, whether this is a violation of the law, and you can have all these people giving you suggestions, and maybe they're trusted or not, but you still got to fall back on some of your own basic knowledge.
Which again, you can learn too, right? But what about some of the other appointments? What's your favorite one? I guess I should ask. And you can't steal mine.
Okay, that's
You know where
I
I'm going to
already
go.
know what yours
No,
is.
the whole
Yours
country
is free
knows
space.
mine.
Yeah, yours is free space.
But I don't. Well, go ahead. You first.
Actually, in an interesting way, I kind of like RFK.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So we talked off air about this, and I was saying to you, did you see the news this morning? Our local news. They went after RFK.
Sure, they have.
They called him an anti-vaxxer,
Yeah, I heard his
and I'm
response.
like, so the way the local newscasts go, people need to understand that the people reading the news off the teleprompter, they're reading scripts that are handed to them, right?
Right, they didn't write it.
But our local station is an NBC affiliate. They got, canned stories out of Washington from this reporter. Bree Jackson was her name. I'm going to give her credit. And her lead in was Trump nominates an anti vaxxer. And I knew right away that she was talking about RFK. He's not an anti vaxxer, he's
No.
an anti COVID vaxxer. But
Yes.
he's not even, he doesn't say don't get it. He says understand things that we're still not allowed to talk about on YouTube.
His stand, and I heard him talking on the air just a couple hours ago. His stand is, I want to make sure that all the facts are out there for the American people, and you decide if you want that shot or not, or whether it works for you or not, or your family. I'm not going to mandate it.
Gee, what's wrong with that? But yet the media, he's an anti vaxxer. They've already put that label on him. I
Well, you heard
love,
Jake Tapper. Welcome back to measles, everybody.
I've seen the polio one brought out too.
I haven't
Now,
seen that. I heard the measles.
hello, there are people that get sick from those vaccines. That doesn't mean you don't get them, but we can't
Right.
we can't discuss that potentially if you take X vaccine, you might have X side effects. What is wrong with that? But yet,
And we will never discuss, by the way, that open borders bring in TB.
oh well, you're going to get us in trouble, Bill. Be careful with that.
Why? Me?
The truth doesn't apply on certain social medias. But you see that. I love the pick of RFK and where he put him. And
Yeah, there was some debate at one point with him and Carson.
and I
And
would
I'm
have
glad
loved
one
Carson.
he
I
did.
have to be honest. I would have loved.
Carson did a good job, but I think RFK is going
We
in
need
there.
RFK.
Right.
I
He's got some name recognition in a different way than Carson.
Carson was
And
excellent, but he was quiet.
yes,
And what RFK's ultimate goal is, and Trump's, by the way, is to make the country healthier. So you're going to see a lot of stuff addressing like the obesity epidemic and all that stuff
mhm.
I'm passionate about, right? RFK will get out there and talk about it in ways. Carson did that, but Carson's a brilliant man, but he comes across as a brilliant man. Whereas RFK is a brilliant man, but he comes across as a normal you and
Well,
me.
in different terms, there was a study that was out years ago, and you kind of classified people in various categories.
Hmm.
Carson comes in as what we call a thinker.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you know, and whereas RFK comes in as an action person,
yes.
he's going to be a doer.
Yep. And that's what we need right now, especially in that position. I love that pick, and it's going to come as a surprise to no one. I love that Tulsi was put into intelligence, but I do wish she had been put higher up in the art hierarchy.
The food chain. I agree.
I think she should have been either secretary. My first pick for her would have been Secretary of State. I think she would have been absolutely magnificent at that. SecDef would have been another one that I could absolutely see her in. God knows she's got enough military experience. She's got congressional experience. And wouldn't you want someone as Secretary of Defense whose first response is not let's bomb everything in sight?
No, no. If you've spent time in the military, there's not a soldier in the world that wants to go to war.
Yes.
You want to know that when you need to go, that you really need to be there, not because we're just fulfilling somebody's personal dreams.
Exactly. That's why I wanted her for SecDef. Even and that same thinking applies for Secretary of State. That said, I think what Trump did was brilliant. He put her in charge of the agency that flagged her. They didn't put her on the no-fly list, but basically they had TSA harassing her nonstop. A decorated veteran, former member of Congress, oh, by the way, as a Democrat, and they put her on the list. Now she's in charge. Brilliant. Probably
And
Trump's most brilliant move.
well, the other one, if you want to look at something in an interesting conversation, putting our new Secretary of State coming out of Florida again with, I've been thinking about. I saw your face
I'm not a
when I
fan of that.
said that,
That's the one I don't like.
but you know what I'm thinking? Again, I'm projecting ahead.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Rubio is probably going to be a 2028 candidate, if not for president, for vice president. And what is the one thing he's missing
Foreign policy.
coming
Yeah.
is foreign policy. And what have you just made him? You put him in charge of it so that he can get the necessary experience so that he either, now, hopefully he's not going around Vance, but hopefully he's giving Vance an experienced vice president. Or if something else happens, we've got a second person who can check a lot of boxes.
And again, when we were talking a few months back about Trump's VP pick, Rubio was one of the ones I threw out there as a good choice. And I do believe that. I'm just not a fan of him as Secretary of State. I just, that is such an important position. I Time will tell. I hope I'm wrong, to be honest with you. I don't see him having the chutzpah for it.
I think he's got the chutzpah and the
Yeah,
talent.
I don't
He just
know.
has the experience. So, and I think
Ex-
what you're doing,
uh,
I think he's being groomed.
I think that's a fair point. That's a position, though. You got to be real careful using that as a grooming position, because he's going to be meeting with world leaders.
Yeah, but you got to understand, this is Trump.
I
Trump
understand
does
that.
everything
Yeah,
himself.
that's true.
He wants to talk to a world leader. He goes
He'll
there.
pick up the phone. But that's my point, right? Is so, if he wants to get a hold of Putin and Zelensky and go, we're going to stop your war, right? I don't see Rubio delivering the message. To
Oh,
your
I
point,
see Rubio showing up with the treaty that Trump wrote.
I see.
Put your
That's
name
fair.
here,
This is what you will do, like it or not. But I
right?
just,
And this is how we're solving it.
yeah. But, again, you could make the argument that Tulsi doesn't have that kind of experience, right? But I can much easier see her going to Zelensky and Putin and going, here's your treaty, gentlemen, sign it or else. I don't see Rubio doing it. And I hope I'm wrong. I actually like Rubio.
I see Rubio doing that. I just don't see the concern you have over him making a lot of decisions as Secretary of State. Trump is going to make all those
It's not the
decisions.
decisions, he's not
The
the
delivery.
messenger. It's more about being the right messenger.
Well, I think you might see him doing what he needs to do because I think there's a long term plan for him.
I just worry about, we've had wink and blink and a nod, I think is the way you called them before, right?
Yes, I have referred to
I
Larry and Curly that way.
talk about a weak Secretary of State who's done nothing positive that I can name one thing that he's done positive. I can't name one. Again, that's a position where your job is to project the power of our country and the will of the president. not be mousy, for lack of a better term. And I hope I'm wrong. I like Rubio. Again, I would have supported him as VP over Vance. Okay,
And
and
I would have initially too.
I just don't. I don't know. I hope you're right, though. I think he could be in line to groom. I think they've absolutely grooming Vance for 28. Watch out for my girl. She's now a Republican.
Oh yeah, she's a contender.
They the
And they
bench is strong.
resurrected Chris. They resurrected Christy Nome. And they
Oh,
put her in
let's
the
talk about
administration.
that one, Bill, because I don't get that pick at all.
You don't.
I don't. Convince me why that's a good pick. That's the
I think.
second one I don't like.
Well, I was kind of one way or the other didn't bother me. Just like the Department of the Interior going to the North Dakota guy, Doug. That doesn't bother me either. I think
Yeah.
Christie, you know, uh, he's grooming again. We're grooming people for late positions because one of the things Republicans are not great at is having a bench.
Well, I think they got a hell of a bench right now.
Yeah, but we're making that bench even more capable,
He's
and
working
that's
on the
exactly
third
what's
string
going on
now.
because you got there's two kinds of presidents. You got a president that basically tells people, "Here's what I want to get done," and just get it done. Come back and tell me it's finished. Or you got a hands-on president. We have a hands-on president
You
right now
think?
coming in next. Yeah. There ain't nothing happening that his fingers aren't in that pie.
Oh, absolutely.
And based on that, he can train a whole lot of good people to learn from him and be that second row bench when we need it down the road, which I think is a good thing. So I think Christie was a good pick, and someone has to salvage her from that book where she shot the dog, which was not the brightest thing
I
ever.
don't think she's ever going to come back for national office from that.
Well,
VP or Pete Prez, I don't see it. I, time will tell, right? It's
maybe senator. There are
senator.
other things.
I could see
Maybe
senator, Congress, maybe. I just don't. Although governor, you want to go to Senate next. You don't want to
she's
go to
already
House.
governor.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
Well, she is governor. I mean, almost. I hate to put it this way, but it's
You
almost.
got to look at numbers. I mean, governors, there's those 50 of them,
Mhm.
versus 100 senators. So you really what you want to do is get smaller. You want to get into smaller pie.
Well,
You get
yeah,
a-
but governor to senator is on par, or I would consider it a slight step up. Congress is a step down. Anything
Yeah, I
else,
agree.
I get your point though. At which point, guess what? It's break time number two.
And now we're going to spend. You got to hang in with this because I remembered what we were going to talk
I'm
about.
glad you did because I don't. All right. Well,
And we'll talk to you in a couple of minutes. Hang in there for Reclaiming America. Welcome back to final segment of Reclaiming America. Dan and I are having an interesting discussion, and in our minds, we finally figured out what we wanted to talk about.
no,
last
you
segment.
figured it out. I had no idea.
Okay. Anyway, we'd like to take some time and just kind of kick around. You have an election in 26 and you have an election in 28 for president.
Mhm.
The question is, what do both parties have to do to either, in the Republicans' case, grow on what they've done, or in the Democratic case, find a way to bring people back to them? So that's a two-pronged question. I think we should start. Which one do you prefer?
Let's go with the Republicans first,
Okay,
just
that's fair.
because you're wearing a red shirt. Um, theirs is very simple: put up or shut up. You've made
And that's exactly right. Deliver what you promised. That's all you need.
get the hell out of Trump's way, right? If they start, and I'm worried they're already doing it, Bill. We're seeing it with the who's going to run the Senate, right?
Yeah, I know. Thune was not a big decision,
Thune, really? Thune.
especially with the fact that up till what 2016, 2018,
He hates
so
Trump.
Trump.
He hates
But
Trump.
now he's going to be working with
Oh,
them to
bullshit. That is such a load of crap. Give me a break. He's going to be
Well-
McConnell light. Come on.
That's who put him there.
And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Rick Scott, but much would prefer to see him. Johnson in the House is in a gots to go situation also. I don't like him. He's a weak, tepid
Yeah,
little
I'm
leader.
going to tell you what they just did yesterday. They changed the new rules going in for the new Congress, where it took one person to to call this
They got rid of that.
it's going to be nine.
Again, that solidifies Johnson's position, probably. Um, they were given a mandate
Mhm.
without question, without even a scintilla of question. If they don't deliver on that mandate, they are done. Not just in 26 and 28, forever.
Well, again, and I keep going back to this, and no one wants to think about it. Trump has his own party right now. That party is not Republican.
It's
It's
not the
Democrat.
Republican Party.
It's unaffiliated. It is faith-based people. It is Black, Hispanic. You pick a. He's. It's suburban women.
He's built a coalition,
Yep.
and I really believe the Republican Party is going to piss it away. I'm seeing
Well,
it already. When you look at Congress, the congressional leadership, you wanted two Trump guys in there or Trump women, right? There's enough out there you could find one. All you want them to do is just not rubber stamp Trump. I don't want that because they are a check and balance against him. That's fair. But to put in Johnson, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. And Thule, you got to be shitting me. I'm sorry. What were they? What are they thinking, Bill? Give me.
what I don't have a good answer for you because I will tell you what we did in New Hanover. Excuse me, not God help me, in Brunswick. We put a call out to our people, and we were not the only ones doing it. And we asked everyone to call both our senators and push for Rick Scott. Okay,
Well, both of
and
them are as
I'm
useless. So
and yet, I'm very surprised by the results. I don't know where Tillis went, but I suspect. Uh, Bud, on the other hand, I thought would come out because he's also close to Trump. And he came out singing the other day how glad he was that Thule won and he can support him for the rest of the time. And that's exactly the opposite of the calls he was getting from everybody.
exactly. So that again, they're playing their little deep swamp game, and people are seeing it. This is not the way you start off.
Nope. But they can start off crazy as long as they deliver.
True,
But I'm
fair
telling you,
point.
2026 is election time again. In North Carolina, we have a senator's position that'll be open. It'll be Tillis, and he, from whatever indications are, he's probably not going to run again. So that's going to be an
Because he
open
won't
seat.
win because he sucks.
Well, the man was censured by the state party, so that's kind of a hint that you're not the most popular guy in the block. But
He's useless.
but the bigger thing is what should make it interesting on the other side of the house is the bulk of the people that are going to be up in the Senate are Democrats again.
Oh, for 26?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the Republican side.
No, the word is and it's the
Okay.
Democrats that were opposing everything. So these guys may have to start rethinking some of the stuff in the states that uh, they didn't do so well as far as the
Well, they just
Democrats.
lost Pennsylvania, right? That's been
Well, they're
called,
still doing a recount.
but that's been called basically. So time will tell, right? But I mean, we're
Well,
going to come
that's because
in.
money's there running around trying to buy it. Now, the Republican Party, what's interesting, and when you talk about Pennsylvania, it's the county around I can't forget the name of the Buck County around Philadelphia. And the answer from the leadership was, we're going to count all these illegal ballots anyway because no one pays
I
attention to the
saw that.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. I
So the state, we have RNC has filed numerous lawsuits just the last 48 hours to see about stopping that going on. And the word I'm hearing is I don't think they can manufacture enough votes to win,
yeah.
but
I
anything's
don't think
possible.
they'll. Yeah. Anything's well. True. But I just, going back to the Republican Party, they're going to become what the Democratic Party is. They're not listening. They're going to do their own thing, and they're going
And they're
to
going to get clobbered
and
in
they're going
26.
to blow this coalition that's been built. That's my
And that's why Trump is 18 months.
and
I'm with you
I'll
on
give
that.
you want odds on this. I'll put it that 80% the Republicans blow it. Trump might be strong enough to overcome it. Time will tell. Let's go to the Democrats. What do they got to do, Bill?
They've got to listen, which is a very
That
difficult
ain't
thing to
that ain't
do.
gonna happen. They've already shown that
Yeah, they are, they
publicly, I
need
should say.
to do some soul searching and realize that the people have now got such a deaf ear to them that all these threats and the world is going to end, and my daughter and my sister are going to be locked up because they had an abortion, and they're not going to be able to have one, and the people aren't listening anymore. And I think somebody proved it the other day. One of the guys said, one of the newscasters had a very interesting comment. He was saying, notice it's a week after Trump was elected. He's meeting with the president who told him he was a danger to democracy. And they're having a very peaceful transition
Biden
conversation.
was all grins.
Yeah. And yes, so evidently it just proves that everything they said was a lie.
Not only
Otherwise,
that, but
they'd
it
be
pretty
sitting
much,
there fighting.
I think it proves Biden voted for Trump too. My gut feeling.
That's an interesting thought.
I
That would be,
I have no factual knowledge to substantiate it, but come on. Okay.
but again, and I go back, I'm not sure we didn't discuss this last week, but the woman I give the credit to is Melania, who's got enough guts to simply say, no, I'm not going to the meeting on Wednesday. I'm not meeting with Jill. Jill and her family have been picking on my
They
family,
trashed her when they took over.
and they were behind the Mar-a-Lago raid,
Hmm.
and they had people in my underwear drawer.
Yeah, Trump needed to do what he did, and I thought he did really well with it. He had to play nice. That's what he needed to do. Melania did what she needed to do also. But, to go back to the Democrats, I think they're in complete disarray, at least publicly. Like we talked about earlier, they're still in denial. I wonder, though, the leadership behind the scenes, not the front facing, but, the heads of the parties and the backroom stuff. Obama is not stupid. He is anything but. He's actually a highly intelligent man. He's
That's true.
he's got to see what happened,
Yeah, but he's losing influence quickly.
or is he, Bill?
I think he
You
is.
think I?
This election, I think you're going to be seeing, right now, the person that's outreaching and trying to take over is Newsom.
Which is he? But he is as far left as anybody.
Not arguing,
And if
but
they go that route, they're going to be an even worse dumpster fire than they are now. Oh,
but
Newsom's going to run the Democratic Party. He's going to turn the whole country into California. Yeah, that's going to sell well. He couldn't.
well,
His own state. Did you look at the breakdown on the vote?
no, I didn't for
It's
California.
redder than North Carolina. Okay, by area, not You take out San Francisco, San Diego, and L.A. California's a red state.
Yep.
You know, um, but
That's like that thing they had the other day with Beyonce. Beyonce, who said she's only going to go to blue areas to do her shows now. She won't go to a
yeah,
red area.
Pearl
And they
Jam.
put up the entire country's map
Where are you gonna
and
go?
little blue blotches here and there.
Yeah.
She's got a very limited tour coming up,
Well,
obviously.
but like Pearl Jam did the same thing, right? So I was supposed to go see them in Raleigh way back when they pulled out because of the bathroom bill. Now, if you watch, they only tour in blue cities. You know, to each his own. If that's what you want to do, if you're that petty, go ahead. I don't give a shit. That's why I
But
don't
to
follow them
summarize
anymore.
this, the Democrats' best friend in this next 4 years may be the Republicans.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. Is the Democrats' best chance is the Republicans to be Republicans.
Yeah, if they don't deliver what they promised, they're done.
Done
And
and then some.
yeah, because you're going to have all those people. They'll be looking for alternatives. But if there's no alternative around there, they're going to do payback. And payback is you promised me A, B, and C. You did dit, so I'm going back the other way.
Or they won't vote, which is what happened to the Democrats. A lot of them didn't vote. I will tell you right now, because I speak to men on a daily basis, and I've got pretty decent following. I will tell you right now, and I have reaching out to politicians to tell them this: you better effing do something for the men. You better address their issues. There's a big push going on behind the scenes. We're going to be pushing for boys' education to be fixed and stuff.
They need to.
It's horrific what's going on. If they don't
So
take meaningful change, not they'll pass some rinky-dink stuff. No, it needs to be meaningful change. They don't, they're going to lose the men, and if they lose the men, the Republican Party will never get elected to dog catcher, let alone anything else.
Well, that's a challenge that the party has to face. But fortunately, as we've discussed before, they're actually been over the years pretty good at snatching defeat from the mouth of
Do you
victory.
think they have the capability, Bill, to not be Republicans? Honestly,
I think with Trump in the position, he's going to force enough of them to do it. But there's going to be certain people that are going to be targeted in 2026. They're going to have to go. Don't forget the entire House comes up again,
yeah.
and you're going to have one third of the Senate. So if Trump can keep that force of his going, that threat is there.
Do you think it's
Which is
enough
why
to
I think
overcome it, though, Bill? Really?
I think it's enough in the House because don't forget they spend the bulk of their time raising money to run again. That's all
True.
they do.
True.
Okay, and in 2 years, Trump could be sitting in all the power in the world, and they can force that. The Senate's a whole different world because they get a 6 year term,
Yeah.
so they could think they could survive Trump.
I mean, the House members are already running for the next election. You and I both know
Yeah, they
that.
are.
And Trump's got the ability to go, John Doe, you didn't support me. I'm not supporting you. Nobody vote for him. Right
Not only
now,
that, Trump has the ability to find a qualified candidate to challenge them in a
true.
primary.
Right now. But we don't know what it's going to be like in 18 months. Who
But in
knows?
18 months, if his agenda is not working, of course, they won't let him work. He's the perfect person to start going into all these states going, look, we wanted to do X, A, B, and C, and this guy is one of the reasons we're not getting it.
Fair
So
point.
here's a person I'm giving you as a choice to replace. And he will turn the vote out.
Do you think, let's say we're right, because we're pretty much in agreement, and the Republicans blow it, right? Do you think Trump starts a third party? I do. He's
I
already
don't,
he's already built it, Bill. It's just
oh, I agree.
you know
He
he
just hasn't labeled it. That's all he hasn't
he's
done.
got Kennedy, he's got Tulsi. There's two strong Democrats. He's built a coalition with the Hispanics. He's got the black men coming over in droves. I'm interviewing a black leader on Tuesday on my other show who's going to talk to me about the actual realities of the black male vote. I can't wait to have that conversation. This guy's brilliant, man. And he's like, they don't realize where they're at. And again, I'm gonna ask him about the Republicans. What do they need to do? I think Trump has set this all up. He's got it teed up, ready to be hit. If they blow it, you're gonna have a third party. What it'll be,
I
who
don't
knows?
disagree with you at all. It's
And
quite possible. And it will be a populist party like no one's ever seen before since the Jackson times.
you will have. It won't be just MAGA because everybody's gonna go. Oh, it's just gonna be the MAGA party. No, it's not. There's too many coming over from the other side. Especially if you're right and it's Newsom on one side and I'll call them the McConnell types on the other side. Oh
They don't
God,
have a choice.
that
They don't have a choice. The choice is a third person. They got to go
that
someplace.
will go, and they will. And if someone's there to pick it, and Trump's also got the money. Don't forget, he is a billionaire.
Yep.
So
He's got the money. And so does his two best friends that are supporting him, Elon and Remy from the West Coast. I keep messing that poor man's name up, but uh, they're combined. They could do a lot to start a new party, and at least one of them had desire to be president anyway.
yeah, Vivek is that. Well, let's take a few minutes. We're going to run long. Let's do it. What's your thoughts on the department? What is it? Doge, Department of Government Expenditure, or something like that.
Efficiency
Efficiency. That's it. Efficiency.
That's the term. I am looking
I
forward to
can't
that
wait.
like you've never seen.
I
You know what
can't
this
wait.
is going to be? This is going to be taking what Senator Langford used to do out of Oklahoma, where he every year he put out the top 100 boondoggles that we were paying for around the country, except they're going to have the authority to make it go away.
And be able to see the actual books.
Yes, they can go in there.
Oh
They're going to
God,
be able to find it. They're going to be able to publish it,
I
and they're
can't
going to make
wait.
it go away.
I and they will do it too. That's the thing. When it comes down to Ramaswamy and Elon, they will do it. Elon, you got to remember, Elon bought a bankrupt company in Twitter. They were
Yep.
bankrupt. He way overpaid, but he's on the verge of starting to make money with it. He
Did
cut.
you hear what he did with the Boring Company?
Which
BOR, not he would, true story. He was in Vegas and he was getting sick and tired of the traffic congestions.
oh yeah,
So
yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I
yeah, so he wanted to put in he suggested they put in a
he
tunnel.
built a tunnel.
And they told him that it was too expensive. It was like $1 billion to do
Yeah,
it. So he went up and bought himself a company,
I
a
did it.
boring company, put the technology together, and he put their tunnel in for $10 million,
Yeah.
not $1 billion.
And I always compare that to the boondoggle of the tunnel in Boston that took a decade to build and way
Oh,
over
the big
cost.
dig, the big dig.
What a and it's still anyway, but I could see where they could take they're talking about 2 trillion off the budget of fat and at the same time fix social security. You know, everybody said, "Oh, Trump's going to do away with social security." No, he's not. Oh, by the way, we're going to take the tax thing off of social security. How is that not a win? And oh, by the way, cut the deficit. I can't wait because Elon has already proven time and again. He went into Twitter, he cut 80% of the workforce, and
Mhm.
the company came out leaner and better run. If he
And you
does,
know what's very interesting too? If you consider the fact that Virginia and Maryland are the states they are for blue because of the workforce of the federal government that lives right around Washington, D.C. Now, if you do one of two things, you cut the workforce, or you do something we talked about a while ago and relocate
and
some of
he's
the
talking
Washington,
about that,
D.C.
Bill.
Yes, I know. He must have heard me. He must have heard
It's
us on the
it's
show.
interesting because on the Rogan pod, I've seen him on a few things, but on the Rogan podcast, they got into that, and he said we're going to give him 2 years severance, so they're not going to have to worry about finances, right? We're going to look at where these departments are, what they do, the overrun. I mean, he was talking about there's something like 450 different departments within the federal government. That's two per year created in our existence of our country.
Yeah, and he also was talking about the fact that uh, these things that they're creating are just overstaffed with
Over,
people.
yeah.
You know what they were smart to do? They should almost have a government shutdown and watch the government run with all these people gone and then let them come back.
Well, that's I have a feeling that's what they're going to do in some instances. Not the whole government, but certain things, right?
If you remember when we had the last shutdown, they had only emergency forces that came in
And nobody
and the
noticed.
government ran fairly well.
Nobody noticed. It ran better than ever. I could see where they're going to get in there. It'll take them. This is not going to happen in the first 6 months. I don't think they're going to have an honest assessment. The one thing I do believe is they'll make some quick changes, but they will do the right changes over the long run.
Yeah, but they're going to find a few quick things to prove
Oh
that they're
yeah,
doing.
but even Elon has said we're going to make mistakes, and if we do, we'll fix them.
Mhm.
That's how you do it. That's how you run a business. The one thing, the overarching thing I'm seeing over the last week to kind of put a bow on everything is that Trump's team, Trump himself, but his team is going to run the government like a business.
Mhm.
And if they do that, we all win.
Yeah, we all do. Now, while we still have maybe a minute or two to
I
throw
get,
things around,
go ahead.
how about we look at Trump and foreign policy since he's just been elected president? Because the world is already changing. You see Netanyahu and you actually see Iran saying that we can see a peace deal down the
Oh
road.
yeah, funny how quick that happened.
Yep.
Because Iran
So
is shitting their pants right now because he had tariffs and everything else on them
and a blockade.
and a
He would do
blockade, and
it down in a
he's
minute.
already said, "I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bankrupt you. Then you can't support Hamas and Hezbollah."
So you start looking at that and you see Zelensky and you see Putin starting to talk about there may be a way out of this routine.
Yeah,
You know
funny how
what
quick that
what
was.
this space saving thing is going to be, and I actually think you're going to see our friend in Korea go climbing back into his hole and just sitting there and watching television because I don't think he's going to do much more than that unless he gets invited to the U.S. to visit Trumpy.
Well, Trump, they get on Trump about being quote unquote friends with him or Putin or all that. I don't think he's actually friends with him, but he gets along with him. That's what you want. Yes, they're insane. They're evil people. But if you're constantly butting heads with them, nothing gets done.
if there's any hope of getting him to understand what you're doing and go the direction you want, it does not start by calling him every name under the sun.
Exactly.
And you've got to start with a viewpoint of let's talk and see how far we can get with this. And let's develop a relationship. And maybe it doesn't work 70% of the time, but the 30% it does work, we can build.
Speak softly, but have that
Big,
big stick ready to go, baby. And that's Trump to a T. And I think you
and he's
will,
going to have a military to actually be able to deliver
because
that.
they're going to rebuild that. I think you will see the Ukraine war over in 6 months.
Well, he actually predicted it would be over before he took
I
off.
and I could absolutely see that. I'm giving him a little buffer zone on that. Um,
Well, I wonder if he did not work out with that friendly meeting with President I was asleep Biden uh, to say, I'll give you some of the credit. Just let me get it done.
and that's I'm okay with that, and I'm sure Trump would
You
be
do.
too.
And so is he.
Yeah,
He just wants it over.
just save lives, because ultimately, way back when, during the debates and all that, when they were getting on his case about it, he said, "I don't. It's not about who's going to win this war. I just want to save lives. That's what you want, right?"
You know, you know yourself. You get so much more done when you don't worry about who's getting credit.
Mm-hmm.
You just want the job done, and wherever the chips fall, they fall.
Well, even if Biden gets credit, everybody's going to know it's Trump anyway. So it's like, come on. But anyway, any final thoughts? Because we are way over, but that's okay.
Just look up at the top there, guys.
Yeah,
Anything
well,
that
hold
we got
on. Let me put
in
it.
there,
Yeah, there you go.
right over here,
There you go.
right there.
So
Just follow us every one of those places and stay tuned because we never know what we're doing next week. And as we've already proved that tonight.
we could do it. We could do a 5 hour show every night. Some people are, and still not keep up.
Yeah, we could. Anyway, thanks everybody for reclaiming America. And hopefully we'll be back with our partner next week. But anyway, we shall return. Like a bad penny, we will turn up.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, here goes.